Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
This is episode 140. And this evening, I think we have a great lineup, but I'm not really sure what the lineup is going to be totally yet. But for this evening, there will be a choice between two different scotches. One would either be the Glenfiddich 21-year Grand Reserva or the Jura Journey. And from there, we'll have our shout outs and get it togethers, followed by our restaurant review being the Kodiak Brewery Bar and Grill, followed up by probably one of the better, smarter challenges that we've had in a long time. I really enjoyed it.
That's good. So did I.
Which is getting life advice. I didn't know how to really sum that up better than that, but it's about getting life advice. And before we jump into the to whichever scotch that we're going to be reviewing, thank you to all the people who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you, and to all the listeners who listen to us on any of the many podcast platforms we are on. We also appreciate you as well. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, and leave some comments down below. And with that, let's get ready to rumble.
Scotch Reviewed.
All right. Well, man, remember, life is great, especially when you have choices like these, when your biggest unknown in a day is which scotch are we going to taste?
Talking about life is great. Did you see the message I put on the Venmo thing to you?
Not yet.
You know, they tell you you have to put a memo there.
Oh, shit.
I put life is great, but it's not always easy.
Which is true.
It's true.
It's so true.
And I thought you would appreciate that. I quoted
do,
you.
Especially because that's one of the things I actually share as one of my, words of wisdom, so to speak, is just that, it should be fun, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not always going to be fun. The harder you sweat, the more you're going to have fun when you are having fun.
Right?
You can think about that from any aspect. And I'm just going to throw athletes out there. Man, you win a championship. It wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy, but they're having
At the end of the day, they have fun. They're all celebrating, especially, even if they don't win the championship, you probably had some fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, as mentioned last week, we're going to flip this Eisenhower silver dollar. Heads, it's the Glenfiddich. Tails, it's the Jura Journey. Both of these scotches, one with a journey in its name, the other one with its own description, and their way of presenting it is a journey as well. All right, here we go. We're going to go for the toss. Tails, damn it.
What does that mean, journey?
Jura Journey. Well, 2 weeks from now, well, should we? We're gonna do a second toss. Maybe there was some confusion. Damn, Tails again.
It's journey, man. I think
best of five.
If you just want to do the Grand Reserva, just do the Grand Reserva. But honestly, I think the jury journey actually kind of goes well with our smarter challenge.
Right, we got one heads.
Okay.
Two more. We're gonna go best of five. Best of five here. Fuck, it's Tails. All right.
That's the universe telling us it's not ready.
Yeah, it's not ready. Well, shit. I really didn't want to go for that. All right. So 140, the Jura Journey. This particular scotch, well, we've talked about this before. You can always visit tons of their information from our previous episodes where we did the Jura 10-year, the Jura 12-year. They've got a wide selection, a little brief history about the Jura distillery on the Isle of Distillery, and they call it the island of one because they have one distillery, one hotel, one convenience or grocery store. Less than 100 inhabitants actually reside on the island. The distillery was founded by Laird of Jura, Archibald Campbell, in 1810. So this is a pretty old one. The distillery fell into a disrepair, but was restored in 1884. Around 1900, no exact date. It was again in disuse and dismantled in the 1950s. So this is one of those weird instances where this thing went from right around 1900 to 1950, 50 years after it had been dismantled. Two local estate owners, Robin Fletcher and Tony Riley Smith, who were keen to revive the local economy, had the distillery rebuilt and expanded by the architects Lothian Berkeley and Harvis and Boys, with input from the whiskey and distillery expert William Del Evans. The work was completed in 1963, so they took some years to do that and included the installation of taller stills, allowing the distillery to create a mix of malts. The Jura Journey is going to be, as they call it, a refined balance of rich fruit and gentle smoky notes from maturation in American white oak and ex-bourbon barrels. Anything you want to throw in there before we open this next expression?
Yeah, I think I have some tour notes here, maybe, that you gave me. All right, so it does say here that they do have some tours, which one is called Book Your Spot on Jura Distillery Tour. Our distillery tours do fill up very quickly, they say here, so it's always recommended that you want to book in advance and to make an online booking as early as possible. They have daily distillery tours that are 10 a.m. or at 12 p.m. noon, which is which is $15 Great British pounds. So you're probably talking roughly right around $18. I would think it's about 45 minutes to an hour long. And you take a tour of their still house, filling store, and warehouse, learn why Jura is more than just whiskey. And there's 2 drams chosen for your tour by your tour guide that you get to try as well. Then they got the Jura Whiskey Distillery Exclusives Tour, which is at 2 p.m. daily, roughly $50. It's $50 Great British pounds. So that's going to be roughly right around $55, $55. This is a very special chance to taste Jura whiskey directly from some of our oldest casks. And you join them to taste one of their limited releases with 3 single cask distillery exclusives. It is about an hour and a half tour. That right there is already better than the first tour. You get 4 drams as opposed to 2.
Yeah, who needs 1 or 2 dreams when you can have 4?
Right. And they do say here that things to note when it comes to their tours. They can only do 10 people per tour. This is why it's important for you to book early if you know you're going to be going to Jura. And they also, children, they have to be at least 8 years old. So you don't want to bring your super youngins with you to this tasting tour. And that's about it on the tours there.
All right. Well, we do like to always mention the water source. Their water source is the Loch Bailey, and they do have 2 wash stills, 2 spirit stills with a capacity of 2.5 million liters per year. We talked a little bit briefly just moments ago about how it was reopened. Ultimately reestablished after it had been dismantled right around 1900 in the 50s into the 60s. And during that period of time, James Ferguson and Sons no longer held the reins, so to speak. They lost ownership in 1901, had no real ownership until 1960, where Scottish Newcastle Breweries were the owners from 1960 to 1985. Then Invergordon Distillers Cellars owned it for a decade after that, from 85 until 95. White and McKay from 95 to 2014. And then most recently, Emperador Distillers Incorporated, who's owned it from 2014 to present, is now the current owner. But one of the things that I do think is very impressive about this distillery is, for their short life, they have quite a variety and selection of scotches. So as we're tasting this evening is the Jura Journey. So this one goes right around for the $65 price point. Then they have a Jura Pale Ale cask, a Jura Bourbon cask, the 10-year-old, which we have tried, the 12-year-old, which we've also tried. Then they have a 12-year-old sherry cask, a 14-year-old American rye cask, a 15-year-old sherry cask, an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old Tide, a Jura Winter Edition, Jura Red Wine Cask Edition, Jura French Oak, Jura Rum Cask Finish, 7 Wood, Jura Islanders Expressions number 1, as well as Jura Islander Expressions number 2, the Sound, the Road, the Bay, the Loch, the Paps, aged 21 years, and then you get to their real older versions, the distiller cask, their 1993 age statement, a 1950, a 1975, a 1989, or sorry, that was, I said 1950, that's a 1990 as we go back in time, so to speak. And then they had the Jura 20-year-old, the 1988, the 1-2, these scotches, that's quite a selection for a distillery that is putting out a wide variety of options here. So, part of that could be they're trying to turn it into a craft beer more than a distillery. Who knows? But that is quite an impressive load, as she said. So the canister itself, all the same, I have not seen in person, although they do have versions that apparently come in much nicer containers. Anything other than this current packaging and also body or bottle shape. And the purpose, they say, for that was to reduce damage and loss in shipping. Somehow this bottle, maybe because the sailors are all holding them, drinking them, who knows, reduced the chance of damage during shipping. The foil is actually a foil. It's not a plastic wrap. I like that. They do have the Jura Island topography across the foil. Tears nicely for the Jura Journey. Once that is removed, it is a plastic top. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch. All right, and then beyond that, tight seal, but a pressed cork. Strike number 25.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for our tasting notes and on to our warp speed. So.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The Jura Journey here, the Island of One. We actually have some great expressions from them before, which is the 7 Wood and the 10-year. However, with the Journey here, as I was mentioning before when I was on mute, is that I was expecting that this expression here would give you a journey from the nose to the front palate, mid palate, and to the back palate, and a nice lingering finish, and having a nice journey throughout that whole flow of the tasting palate. However, the only journey I felt like I got with this particular expression from Jura was getting into a vehicle for the first time and learning how to drive in a circle in a cul-de-sac. I just felt like I was going around in a circle, and the way you demonstrated that before was pretty humorous. So to dive into it, actually, I did like the color. Well, first I'll start off with the package here. I'm sorry. I like the color gold there on the packaging. It's a nice package on the outside. At least they have a canister. That's totally a plus. They use foil, which is also a plus. Where they lose it, they're doing so good up until this point, is they lose it with the plastic top and pressed cork. Even the bottle doesn't really offend me. That's because I actually am used to like how Jura does their bottles now. But typically I like the more rounder or traditional type of like Scotch bottles. But it's not since I know what to expect from them, stuff like that, it's not like that big of a deal. But honestly, it is kind of a knock on how the bottle is designed. I know it's supposed to keep from breakage, but when you have the plastic top and the pressed cork, I cannot give this a 5. I have to give this no higher than a 4, and a part of me wants to give it a 3, but I'm gonna stick it out with a 4. The color here, now I'm actually gonna go to the color. I put it as a honey orange golden color. One could even say maybe it's like on the lighter side of an amber gold color. I actually like the coloring of this. I think it's a nice color. I did still give the coloring a 5 out of 5. And unless I can almost say though, unless a Scotch company does something like really dumb with their Scotch, most of the time they're probably gonna get a 5 out of 5 from me here anyway. So that's not like a huge deal there. Now the aroma or the nose, if you will. When I first smelled it, I definitely got the banana and the vanilla flavor tones to it, but there was another odor there that I could not odor. No, I don't know. What do you want to call it? Scent that I could not place to begin with.
Appropriate.
And I could not place it right away. But as it opened up and I put it a little bit, poured a little bit into my hands to kind of warm it up to see if I couldn't get that additional scent. And it came out to be more of like an oaky coconut scent. So basically the nose is vanilla with banana and an oaky coconut. And it wasn't that the coconut was off-putting or anything like that, but it was abnormal, not something I was expecting. And I actually gave the aroma a 25 out of 30 points. As far as the palate, first of all, I'm going to say with this Scotch here, it's very light bodied. It almost has like almost no body to me. It's almost like if I'm drinking, like the body itself is like if I was drinking water. Like it's not heavy. It doesn't really coat or coat my mouth with creaminess or anything really all that well. And what I do get is some vanilla with banana, and it almost kind of reminds me of a vanilla wafer, if you will. And it also has, so it's like basically the way I would sum it up is that it's a vanilla wafer with hints of citrus and banana. But it wasn't like I said, it's super light bodied. And I wasn't super impressed with this, with the palate. So I gave that 25 out of 30 as well. And the finish to me was very short. Like, the actual flavor profile of the finish was short. It ended very abruptly. But it had a spiciness. So like after you go through like that vanilla wafer type of flavor in the front to mid palate and you start going to the back palate and into the finish, there was a spiciness that you get from the cinnamon. And then that kind of burst of flavor right there just like actually just like stops right away. And then you get a very light lingering pear flavor or taste in your mouth. And it's not that the pear flavoring wasn't all that bad. It was actually kind of nice to have that. But it was just really short and very I don't know. It didn't really stick. Nothing on it really stuck out on the finish. So I gave that was like my least favorite part of the tasting profile here. And I gave that 24 out of 30. So a grand total of 83 points out of 100. Would I take this to a black tie affair? Hell no. Definitely not. No way. If my choice is I had to bring a, if I was like ordered to go to a black tie affair and I had to bring a scotch and the only scotch I could bring is this one, I'd call in saying I'm sick. I'm sick. I can't make it because I'm not going to show up at this bottle. Would I take it to game night? If I'm playing poker or something, or playing some kind of games with some people who I maybe don't really care that much for, I would bring it. Because I'm not going to bring this. I'm not going to bring this scotch to really share with my friends who really enjoy scotch, because I don't want them to bust my balls. So I'd probably just bring it to like a bunch of guys who don't really care all that much about scotch. Like they'll drink scotch, but they have like no palate for scotch. But I put it on my shelf. Obviously, if I'm not going to do the other two, I'm not going to put it on my shelf. However, even though I'm being kind of harsh here, I would say though, for the price point, I think you said it's roughly $50 at Total Wine and More. You should give it a shot, because maybe my tasting profile is totally wrong on this, and maybe I'm being too harsh. So I definitely, for that price point, you could definitely try it out at $50, because that's not like super expensive as far as scotches go. So you might as well give it a shot. But overall, for me personally, I think because of the vast amount of different scotches we've tried, I think there's other scotches that probably in the same price range that I'd rather go with than this one. So that's why I really wouldn't put it on my shelf.
All right. Well, I will just say, I don't think you're wrong at all. I really don't. So for me, presentation, I agree with you. Actually, this gave me such hope. The canister and its color, I'm like, this could be golden.
I love the golden color on it.
It's a great color.
It is.
The bottle is the Jura bottle. The plastic top makes me limp. The pressed wood cork kills my drive. I still gave it a 4 as well. Presentation, because it's not terrible. It's just not great. Don't know what else to say. Right there with you. The color was a 5 for me. The color was another thing that gave me high hopes. I'm like, all right, this ex-American bourbon and virgin white oak barrel aged scotch might have a chance. Not so great. So on the nose,
not liking that virgin now.
Nah, like 4 for presentation, 5 for color, but the palate has this very mild, for me, banana cream pie hint. And that was kind of exciting, but then that's followed with like muted cinnamon and nutmeg and maybe young white oak. The best part of the nose is right at the end, there is this unripe pear. Like everything here isn't ripe. It's not ready except for the banana cream pie. So for the palate, the scent, the nose, for me, 24. The palate, much like the nose, again, banana cream pie, that I kind of dug. Mild hint of cinnamon, which did add that little bit of spiciness. And again, a little bit of pear. Followed the nose quite closely. Again, though, nothing sexy. 24. 24 on the palate, 24 on the nose. The finish, I agree with you. Short. I'm not going to drag my tasting out. Short, coconut, hint of cocoa power, which kind of dried it out. Again, there was like so much potential here, but all of the scents, the tastes, all muted, all short, not profound. And here's the struggle: is there's this hint of cocoa, and then when we think about the Macallan collection, the rich cocoa expression, god damn, that's a 10. This is a 2. And that's my struggle. So for me, the finish is a 24. My grand total is an 81. I got no like sexiness with this scotch. I agree with you. I am not taking this to a black tie event unless they're not drinking that night and they don't know it's from me the next day. Otherwise, the canister looks great, but I don't want them associating this smell, this taste, this finish with me. I'm not even taking it to a game night because for the price point, shit. This is crazy to say. I think I'd rather take the wee beastie and watch people gag, right? It does not have a spot on the shelf, but the biggest reason for that is, and here's the truth, I'm not knocking Jura. This is a little island a couple miles off the west coast of Scotland that's known for having one pub, one distillery, less than or approximately 200 residents, one hotel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The island of one, because their 7-wood was great. It was a really good scotch, and their 10-year wasn't bad, but this is just what the fuck. I don't even know. So total 81.
Wow, and I thought I was being harsh.
No, man, this is
okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm surprised I scored higher than you.
I am too, just because of how bad this scotch is. It's just not for me. And as Noah said, maybe this isn't like, I'm not saying don't try it. But where is it? It's not present. It's like you go on a date. I'm not even going to go there. Everything I was about to say was so wrong that we are moving on. All right, next topic.
It's time for our shout-outs.
Shout outs and get it together this week. Go together. And this is for me. And ultimately, it is for both the members of the union for Ford and General Motors and also for the companies of Ford and General Motors. Man, both of you guys, like, I got to give these union people a shout out for having the testicular fortitude to not accept the deals at some of these plants. And then the get it together being like, hey, Ford and GM, these guys are telling you there is that big of a problem. At the end of the day, man, the question really does arise, all the other unions, the Screen Guild, the Writers Guild in Vegas, they're all striking deals and it's all going well. How did Ford and GM get it so wrong? And that's my get it together is like, really you realize, man, where is this coming from? And also consider, you probably thought you had all the answers going into this. Man, you're paying millions upon millions of dollars for lawyers, psychologists, probably psychiatrists as well, but for social psychologists to tell you what is really needed to end this resolution, and they all got it wrong. It's not enough yet. So that's my shout out and get it together is good job standing up for yourselves for those workers, and then get it together, man. Ford and GM figure this out, because Honda sales this past month up over 50% again, and that just continues to go up. And then here we have Ford losing $30,000+ a vehicle in the last half year as they continue to get where Tesla is, where Tesla's coming out with a $27,000 EV. It looks like, and Ford can't produce one for 70 and make a dime.
I'm saying for pretty positive this week. I have no get it togethers I'm going to talk about, but I will talk about two shout outs. First shout out is going to go to the CU women's basketball team for beating the number 1 team LSU and being ranked number 5 in the nation after a couple other wins after that. My second shout out is going to go to you, Jesse, because of the smarter challenge that you chose. This topic this evening was definitely an intriguing and fun one. Once I actually got into it. But I'll expand upon that a little bit more when we get to the smarter challenge section.
Sounds good.
Restaurant Review.
All right, this week's restaurant review off of Arapahoe Road, just west, not quite as far as Jura from Scotland, but just west of I-25 on Arapahoe Road, Kodiak Brewery, Bar and Grill.
I thought you were going to say there for a moment there, like, your friend in the brewery and bar business.
The waitress sure thought she was just that until I let her know how I felt about my pizza. Dude, after that, she wouldn't even look at me. Oh, shoot. Oh, you guys do a podcast and review restaurants. How are we doing? Great. You're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right. What'd you think, Noah?
First of all, getting there is not too bad if you're heading westbound on Arapahoe Road. If you're coming eastbound on Arapahoe Road, I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to really get into that parking lot, unless you know that you have to turn a little bit earlier at where there's a stoplight.
By the Safeway. Cut
by the
through
Safeway,
past like 20 different stores and locations, including a liquor store.
Yeah, exactly. Because I only experienced that on the way getting out.
Yes, me too.
But the way getting in, I was heading west on Arapahoe, so it was like really easy peasy to get in, but they have a really small parking lot. But the way getting out, or if you're coming eastbound and you want to turn in, then it's a little bit more of an adventure to get in and out to cross that busy road of Arapahoe Road. They seem to have a nice like patio area right there. So I think during a nice warmer weather in the summertime, it'd kind of be nice because they have those garage doors that they can roll up. The inside looked kind of modern, like kind of what you expect for a brewery or a microbrew place. But it still looked awfully new. So I did ask the waitress like how long they've been open, because I thought they had only been open for like a month or two, but apparently they've been there for almost a whole year, and that kind of surprised me. I did try 2 of their beers from Happy Hour. I tried their German Dark, which is a German Dunkel beer, and I also tried their brown beer. They both had nice hoppiness and good flavor to them. But if I'm going to pay $5 to $7 a beer, I think I'm going to want to go more with a brown beer that I like, with like Allie's Brown from Avery, or a nice good German Dunkel beer from like actually Germany, since now it seems like microbrews and imports and stuff like Coors Light are all cost like right around $9-10 a 6-pack. So there's not really a big deal anymore to like the separation between domestic beers and like a decent European beer. So as far as these microbrews are concerned, I don't think they're anything special to write home about. So that really doesn't make it a destination point for me to go there to try their beer. Now the food that I had, I had the bonfire burger, which had ghost pepper cheddar cheese, and it's a little bit spicy. It's definitely on the realm of my spiciness, like, and it was like a slow burn too, because like I was like almost done with my burger before it actually started to get like too hot for me or too spicy for me. But by that time I only had like 2 or 3 more bites left. So like I was okay to finish up my burger, but it had nice flavor. The one thing I would say though, because it had arugula, had tomato, the ghost pepper cheddar, and I forget what else I had on there, but it didn't have any other condiments. It didn't have like any ketchup, didn't have any mustard or anything like that. So they were going purely off the flavor profile of the meat and probably like the butter that they use to toast the buns and all the other ingredients, which is fine. But honestly, I think it tasted better with a little bit of like ketchup and a little bit of mustard. I don't think it really hit any of the other extra flavors. I just think those kind of like help highlight it a little bit more. Unless you drown it, which I didn't try to drown it, but like, mustard goes a long way, but the amount of mustard they gave me, it seemed like they were asking to drown my burger or something. But in any case, the burger tasted great. I did like it. If I did happen to find myself there again, I probably would order that burger because it was actually very tasty. Their fries were good. They had the beer battered fries. And And yeah, I'd say the food overall for me tasted good. I enjoyed it. I'll give the food like an 8. Give the atmosphere. When I first got there at 4 o'clock, at like 4:30, there's like nobody there, but that was still kind of early. But I think they purposely like do their happy hour from like, I think it's like 2 to 4, or no, 2 to 5, I think it is. And like I said, there was like nobody there at 4:30. Everyone didn't show up until after 5 o'clock. So it's almost like their happy hour doesn't really matter. And I think that's kind of a shame because I think they might be able to get more people there during happy hour time. But in any case, the atmosphere, I'm going to give that, like, I think there's a lot of potential there, but honestly, it wasn't like super hopping or anything like that. So I'm going to give that a 6. So 8 for food, 6 for that. The wait staff. I don't know. She was kind enough, and she checked up on me while I was waiting for Jesse to show up at the restaurant.
Traffic.
To show up, and in order for us to hit happy hour, for you to get a pretzel and a beer. I did order that, but she's like super quick to bring out the pretzel, which I don't know how that came out like lightning fast.
It's already ready.
But your it was. But your beer, it took her a while to get your beer to get that beer, but you weren't even there, so it's not like it really mattered. But I did kind of keep track of that a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of wait staff there. There's like I think a bartender, maybe 2 waitresses, and they weren't like super quick either. And honestly, I'm not really sure. It wasn't that she was rude or anything like that, but she wasn't super cheery either. So I'm going to give the wait staff a 6. I think there's room for improvement there as well. The food value for a burger and 2 beers and tip, I'm paying like $37 for that.
Dude, we did pay a lot for these fucking meals.
Yeah, and here's what I'm thinking. I could go to Tailgate on a Monday, pay $15, get 2 beers and a burger for $15. That's half the cost here. Or I could go to the Metro Bar, the Metropolitan or the Metropolitan Bar and Grill, and get a All-American burger with 1 pint that I actually really do like something like Palisade
On
Peach
tap,
on tap, and pay $14 for that. So paying $37 for these microbrews that are actually tiny, they're like less than 16 ounces that you would get from like either the Tailgate or the Metropolitan Bar and Grill. I'm going to say the food value wasn't really worth it. And like I said, it's not a destination place. So overall, even though I liked my burger a lot, I'm going to give this place a 6. Like I know the 8's I'm throwing out the 8 because that's kind of an outlier there, because everything else kind of falls in that like 5 or 6 range for me at this place. Would I take a date there? Probably not. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because I think there's other places around that area where I would rather go. Because right up the street, if I'm going to pay that amount of money, I could pay like a little bit more and probably go to Rodizio, or I could even go to Maggiano's. Probably I'd go to Maggiano's.
Either one of those places have a better chance of getting you laid.
Yeah. And I'm only going to be paying Rodizio.
Not that much more.
Yeah, not that much more. Maggiano's are going to be paying a little bit more than that. Rodizio's is probably going to be a little bit more than that. And if I'm going to go to Rodizio's, I might as well just go straight all the way out to Fogo de Chao, because I'm going to go to Fogo de Chao over Rodizio's any day of the week.
Fogo de Chao.
Yeah. Or even go to the Meatball Eatery that's right over there, which we haven't been to in a while.
100%.
So I'd go to any one of those places over this place. Or if I didn't want to go to a nicer place and I just want to kind of keep it more low key, I would go to Torchy's Tacos. That's right there. I would go anywhere but there, really. So I'm not going to go take a date there. And if like a friend wants to meet there, I'll say, sure, I'll meet you there. But I'm like, are you sure you don't want to go like Torchy's Tacos or somewhere else? Because I might throw out another option and see if my friend wants to go there instead. Because like honestly, I don't think it's really worth going to this place. Not that I'm not saying it's a bad place. I just think I can get a better deal on beer that I want and food and other food that I like as well.
Noob.
And I think that's the downfall for this place right here. It's just that there's too many other places around that area that I'd rather go to probably and then go to that place. But yeah, there you go. I'm not gonna meet I would try not to meet a friend there. I'll probably make suggestions, and I would not take a date there. It's not a destination place. I'm not sure if I'm missing any other metric there, but
no, man, you got this.
Okay.
All right, for me, Kodiak Brewery Bar and Grill. I don't think you're wrong in any of the aspects. So for me, showed up a little bit late, freaking traffic. It's FOOK, like you're forking something. HH pretzels, how it shows up on the receipt, $8. It was okay. It had been sitting around because I was late. I'm not going to knock that one because I don't know, but what I can tell you is the cheese that came with the pretzel was shit. It was watered down milky cheese. I don't know what that was. I asked the waitress what her recommendations were. Her favorite thing on the recipe, the menu, was the man beer pig pizza, $16. And so I was like, let's do this. I almost got a burger like Noah. I wish I had afterwards because this thing was a glorified Totino's pizza. It was also shit. With that, I had 2 beers. I had the Raghorn IPA and the Double Shovel IPA. I actually thought their IPAs were good. And this is what's tricky is like for the beer, I'm giving the beer itself an 8. The food is 6 though. It was a glorified Totino's pizza, a little extra cheese. You saw me, like I didn't eat half the damn thing. Well, I ate 2/3 of it. Threw all the crust away. The one thing I will say is it was like they took a Totino's and put this delicious sriracha honey on it, and that was delicious. But what? No is the answer. No. Service, she did a nice job while I was there. It was a pretty solid 7, except for the fact that she recommended shit for me to eat. Location is the struggle. Much like the atmosphere wasn't terrible. I think it would be great in the summer, a 7, but the location is definitely only a 6 because the parking lot and location matters a ton. And I'm not saying don't go to this place at all. If you want to go try a good craft beer, and again, the IPAs to me were very good, do it. But otherwise, the location was a 6. The parking lot situation, as you mentioned, westbound Arapahoe Road, you get in, you get there, you get pretty quick. Getting out, you're screwed. Vice versa, the other way around. If you're coming in from the west and you're getting in there, you're having to circumnavigate around a bunch of stuff. It's not terrible. It's just not good. The property managers did not do a good job and have not maintained it so that you know where you're going in the parking lot. Because I'm like, I feel like this is the right way, but there's no clear painting. So they kind of got the shaft in my sense there. Ultimately, value, mine was a little bit more. I wasn't there only for happy hour. I got the pretzel and the pizza. So I'm paying just a hair under $50 for beers, pretzel, pizza. Value to me was only a 6, and because of that, the total was a 6. I'm right there with you. Friends, no. Date, no. Destination, no. The biggest piece with all of those is I'm not saying the beer. Again, the IPA, go try it. But man, if I'm going to meet a friend or going on a date, yeah, Meatball Eatery, right up the street. So many places within a short distance that I would go before there. Especially, as we continue to evolve. And this is one of the truths Noah and I have talked about recently is, you go into 10 different pizza places in the matter, 10 different establishments, 10 different ownerships, 10 different companies selling one food, a pizza, in the matter of a year. You really learn what you want from an atmosphere, from environment, from service, and you don't need a ton of service with a pizza. I didn't get a ton of service. The service wasn't my rec, except that she recommended a shitty pizza. So with that, you learn more and more about yourselves. Ultimately, this place was a 6. It's not a destination. But the biggest question I have, Noah and I both got this on our receipts, and this is why we have this question is like, is this some fraud or some BS? Because we both had an extra beer put on our receipt, but as opposed to voiding it out, her reason on the receipt, and it's typed out on the receipt, is credit for this beer each of us did not like beer. Well, we didn't have the beer to like. And my biggest question is this their way, whether it's her or the owner or someone else, of giving themselves free beers? They're crediting it, reducing inventory because they have to account for alcohol. Made me very suspicious. And because of that, like, ultimately, if there's another spot where it's like, recommend, do not recommend, don't fucking go here.
That's a good point.
Like, I didn't trust that. I felt like that was some weird stuff. And so
Seems like some shady shit.
Yeah, as much as I would say if you like a good IPA, don't hesitate trying there, it still seemed shady. I wouldn't go back. I don't plan on going back.
Smarter challenges.
This week's Smarter Challenge: 5 words of wisdom or life advice, lines from friends, family, coworkers. I think a big one for both of us was parents and or close family relatives. And when I say family, family isn't always by blood. So with that, we were sent to get some advice. What were some words of wisdom? It was also very interesting for me, and we can go back and forth. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start? We do not have to tell the source of this, but we can absolutely tell the source if it is something we want to share.
Okay. Before we totally jump into this, I'm going to say, I know I gave a shout out to you, and I also mentioned it in the intro, but thank you for doing this this exercise here and giving me this assignment to go ask 5 people for a piece of advice. And the thing is that honestly, I did not embrace this to begin with. Not because I didn't want to or anything like that. It's just like I think it was
kind of weird to start. I was the same way. I'm like, I'm gonna call my parents for advice.
Yeah. And not only that, but then also at the same time, like I had other things that was on my mind. And so it just kind of fell to the back part of my mind. And so today, actually, earlier today, I actually reached out to a bunch of people. And here's one of the things I noticed. I'm going to tell you some of the things I noticed first.
I love this.
Is that I had some people, wait, let me kind of preface this first about what I said to them. So that way they, everyone's not wondering well, what did he say to make them respond like this? So what I had said here is, I was wondering if you have any sage advice that you would be willing to share. And what I'm asking for here is if I or someone else were to ask you to give 1 or 2 pieces of life advice, what advice would you give them?
I love the way you phrased that. And I'm just going to say that for now because I'm imagining you had some of the same response that I did, which was I was starting to feel like people were afraid I was going to go fucking jump off a bridge.
So one of the responses was, that's a curious question. I need some time to think about this. And I had I'd actually had a few people who said, oh, I need to think this question over and get back to you. And so I thought that was really odd because, it's a serious question. It might be curious as well. But I'm thinking if someone's coming to you asking you for advice, how is it that you can't give them advice right there on the spot and you have to say come back to me later. I need to think about this. And this is not and I guess in my opinion, I think everybody has sage advice about life in general. And I don't think, it's a serious question, but I don't think it's one necessarily that you have to ponder over for hours or days or anything like that to get a response back. Now, I could be totally wrong about that. But also, as you were mentioning, I did have a couple people also ask me, they gave me their advice, and then they're like, "Hey, what's going on in your life? Are you doing okay?"
Dude, literally. Yes, that's why I mentioned. I'm like, dude, I'm not jumping off a bridge. Like, this isn't that.
And I'm sorry for coughing into the mic there, everyone. So I just found that like that particular part in this exercise, I found it strange how some people were willing to give this information right away. Other people were like, let me think this over. And then other people were like, hey, is there something wrong with you? So that was kind of like, those are like the three kind of like responses I got in general. And I just thought it was just kind of like a wide array of responses. And they were all kind of like the ones I didn't think was strange were the ones who answered me right away. The ones I thought was strange were the other two. Cause to me, I guess I would figure like, I'll put it this way. If you have a child, right? Let's say your kid's like 9 or 10 years old and they come up to you, or maybe they're a little bit older, and they come up to you as a parent and like, hey, mom or dad, what kind of advice would you give me about life? And then if you were to tell your son or daughter, that's a great question. Let me think about that. Come back to me later. I'm not really sure that gives off the right impression. Like, I understand like the person who wants to think about the question, thinking like, they're thinking about it saying like, okay, this is an important, serious question. But on the receiving end, the child, or even in this case, maybe I'm a child in my thought process here, is thinking, if I'm asking for advice, maybe there is something wrong. Although in this case, if there isn't. But if there was something wrong, do I really want to like wait to give this person advice? What if at that point something happens in between from when they asked to when, so if something happened down the line?
Sorry, I'm going to interject and go on a tangent.
I'm pausing here because I like to get your...
No. That's part of the reason I brought up what I brought up is because when I was asking people myself, I got this impression that people who truly cared about me also took this stance of, man, you're asking something that I would never expect you to ask. Are you okay? And then other people who don't give a shit about me were like, woo, there it is. Let's move on. Let's go get work done. And I found that the people who struggled to give me the advice were one of two arenas in my purview. One of them being someone who thought I had all the answers and would only give them advice, never ask for it, or people who were truly concerned about my well-being.
Yeah, I could see that point of view. But I mean, like...
Don't jump.
Yeah, don't jump, man. Don't jump. I don't know, but like I said, I don't want to necessarily say like the people who gave me these the advice right away or didn't question it or whatever, didn't care about me because I do think you need to have at least one or two in your back pocket if someone shows up and asks you that type of things. I think that's something that there's you and I, we have codes, right? There's certain things that we live by that. Doesn't matter if anyone comes up to me. I already know those off the top of my head anyway, so I'm willing to share those.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess maybe that's why I found it odd when people were like, let me think about this.
I just think there are many people out there who don't value their own advice because they're probably, whether it's in personal life or work or both, and I'm going to say walked on like wildflowers, so to speak. So they survive because wildflowers survive and bloom and all these other things. They pop back up, even though they feel and are often trampled, but they don't understand how much they have to offer. And it's almost a gift to ask those people and let them know, hey, I value your input.
Oh, here's another thing. I've got this response too, was like, wow, that's a great question, and I really appreciate you coming to me to ask me this question. Like, I didn't expect you to ever ask me this kind of question. They felt really honored,
valued,
honored or valued that I would go to them asking this question, and that made me feel good.
Yes, you should.
Right? I'm like, wow, like me posing this question to you, I didn't know that would make you feel good as a person to be able to relay what you value in giving advice back to me. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But to your point on some of those people who like just gave you something and like, let's get on with it type of thing. I noticed that as well with a couple of the people I asked, and they gave me some like the canned stuff, like keep it simple, stupid, like Kiss or some of those like more general ones. And I think this is where I think you find out, maybe it's not maybe that they don't care or anything like that. Maybe they just never really thought about it. Or like you said, maybe they don't know that, they value their own advice as much. But you can tell like some of them weren't as genuine as others. But I really did appreciate those who responded fairly quickly and gave a genuine answer as well. Not that I didn't appreciate all of them, because I appreciated all of them, because anyone that took the time to even answer that question showed that they cared at least somewhat, maybe a lot, maybe more than others or whatnot. But I do know like some people put some thought into it. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed this exercise so much that I actually asked the whole team that I work with in the learning and development department of the company I work at. And even my supervisor, she's like, "Wow, this is a really neat list that you've put together so far." Because I showed her,
freaking awesome, man.
Because like when I sent out an email to the whole team saying like, I have this assignment for my podcast that I'm supposed to ask 5 people for life advice. To give like one, and I posed that same question, I put the same question in there that I read earlier.
Yeah.
But I sent it to me in an email. I go, so far, this is what I've gathered. And I like put everybody's advice I had at that time in the email, including my own that I usually give to people.
Should.
And, my supervisor's like, "Wow, this is really neat. I can't believe you put this together." And
awesome.
She gave me like three different pieces of advice.
That's awesome.
And 3 of my own teammates on my team gave advice too. So I thought it was really cool that some of them like really jumped on board and wanted to share their advice as well. And they all knew that I was going to be sharing it on the podcast. So I thought that was kind of cool of them to do that.
Yeah.
So I honestly thank you that you had me do this exercise. And like I said, once I got into it because I got like 3 pages. I got 3 pages of advice here, life advice from everybody. And so what I said I would do to those who did decide to participate in giving me these life advice is that I told them I would compile everybody's advice that they gave me, put it all in a Word doc for them. And if they wanted it, I would share the advice of what everybody gave me to all of them. So that way, not only does this benefit me, but it could benefit everybody else as well.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. And I apologize. There's probably like 1 or 2 people who probably already sent a message that probably are not on this list tonight. And I'm also going to apologize because just of time wise, I may not be able to share everybody's advice that I have on a sheet of paper either. Are these 3 sheets of paper?
We'll do what we can.
All right. So that's that. I want to preface all that before we jumped in.
All right.
I don't know if there's anything you want to say.
No, I agree. I think it's great. I think it's interesting for me because in my work, maybe it's my pretension, maybe it's something else, maybe it's just how I handle myself. I hope it's not pretension, by the way. But there were a lot of people, and most of mine was verbal. I think your way was far more successful. I love what you did, Noah. And for me, a lot of it was verbal, and a lot of people never got back to me at work. But a lot of them are also younger team members who level-wise or stature-wise fall in a position that is not as high as mine. And I think part of the reason some of them didn't get back to me is because they're like, well, Jesse has all the answers. And I found that also very interesting because anyone who was someone who was older or was in a position equal to or greater than mine had no problem giving me an answer. And then my other piece was the people who cared about me. And Mom, I'm just going to throw this out there. She's like, I need more time. And she gave me a ton. But she's like, I need more time. And I'm going to take all of her answers and like literally write them down and save them for myself and share them with people, much like you said, because I think that that's important. And I think it's real and genuine. And one of the pieces she said, and I'll try to manage our time.
Well, I think if we go longer, we go longer.
We go longer.
I think this is an important topic.
I think one of the things that I loved about her comment was she's like, my dad. So this is my mom's dad, my grandpa, used to share so much with her as far as these words of wisdom or lines or quotes, as a lot of them come from books or other things. And she's like, I need more time to compile this. I have a book of these, but I can't find it right now. And so
that's kind of cool.
I'm looking forward to it because when I thought about it and she mentioned her father, I thought, okay, my dad had a lot of these things, but my dad taught me more about how to build a goddamn house, how to wire electrical, how to build a frame for a home, do drywall, do insulation, do a lot of other things. But it was always my mom who was the one who was like, and she did say these things throughout my entire life. This is something my dad said to me. And when she made that comment, I was like, this is beautiful to me because I want this. And then I want to share with my kids before it's too late.
That's awesome because I mean, you definitely want, like, I think any of this, all this advice you want to share with your kids, with everybody. And I actually, as I was like getting all these, like, I didn't expect this many people to reply back to me. But as they started replying back to me, I'm started thinking like, what if all of a sudden like Jesse and I just compile these all together and make a book out of it?
Dude, and I think that we need to do a piece. We will in some way or shape or form do a piece of that. And give credit where credit is due. And if we don't, we apologize. That's not intentional. We appreciate the advice, and you can share that with us, and we'll make amends for future editions or whatever. But yeah, it's been fun for me too. Yeah,
and one more note here, real quick. If you are listening at this part, and hopefully you are, as a lot of you who probably follow us and have noticed that, it's me. It's all me. It's all me, but I'm really far behind on doing editing and stuff like that and getting all these episodes out. But I am going to get this episode out this week on Thursday or Friday, and then start the backlog of the other ones as well. So the issues are going to be a little bit off and on YouTube and stuff.
With that.
But I wanted to. The reason why I want to definitely get this one out Thursday or Friday of this week is because I'm starting to get people asking me, when are you guys going to post this one?
Yes.
So I am not going to put this one on the back burner until like the normal time frame in order. So I'm going to do it right away, and then I'll go back and get everyone else caught up, all the other ones. So just want to get that out of the way, just because I wasn't not paying attention to what you're saying. I was just answering these people.
No, you're good. I appreciate that. I think that's great. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, go first.
I'll go first. I think you have more than I do. So we'll do 1 for me, 3 for you until we're like down to the end, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
So for the first one, and this one's interesting because I'm going to start with one from my dad. He would be totally comfortable with me sharing that, and also my mom as far as who shared certain things. But for my dad, I have one in particular, and that's the only one I have right now from him. And it was precious because I think it's not necessarily 100% applicable to me as I have faced yet, but it may be in the future, but it's absolutely applicable to other people in his life. And his comment, his piece of advice was to consider that in life, as we go through so much of it, so much of life, our own, is contradiction. And the biggest thing is to consider and to watch out for the fact that we're contradicting our own life in the essence that we'll tell someone else. So my father telling, I imagine my sisters, but maybe me, and I just haven't figured it out yet. We'll tell someone else to do one thing and then do something else. And I love this because this is, as I've mentioned, I think we do all learn things from our parents or those who help raise us. Hypocrisy is my biggest pet peeve, and he's talking about that in a very different tone, but he's talking about contradiction. And I'm like, I fucking hate people who say one thing and do another. So I loved the fact that he brought that up.
That's a good one. All right, so I think the first one I'm going to start with is one of my students.
It's nice. I love that, by the way.
Make sure I thought I have it on here, but maybe I don't. Did I put it on here?
If not, just pencil it in. We'll get there.
All right. Oh yeah, here it is. Former student. I call her Miss Williams. So Miss Williams knows that this was for the podcast as well. Just a little bit of backstory on her. She was in a really bad accident, a car accident. And I'm not sure if she has a glass eye or whatever, but you could tell like she's actually clinically or legally dead for over 20 plus minutes.
Holy shit.
And so really, in theory, she should not be alive today, because they usually say if it's more than like a certain time frame, then a person will not be able to be resuscitated. But she was able to come back, and I think I told you a little bit about her before.
Mm-hmm,
like I said, I was tutoring her and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've talked.
And so this is so she was legally dead. She's come back to life, and this was hers. It says that. Never lose sight of the Lord in the path he has set for you. And no matter what you go through in life, there is a purpose for it. There's always purpose for the pain that you endure and go through. So don't give up.
I love that.
And because of what she went through, that has so much meaning there. And I figured like I have to share that one. They're like, you just can't imagine what she's gone through. Cause she was probably really beautiful. She was really beautiful before, and you can just tell like this car accident. She had to go through a lot of like plastic surgeries probably, and she lost an eye, so I think she has like a glass eye there. But she had to go through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. She's not even done with it all either. And she lost part of her, I guess, brain power, if you will. So she struggles with learning right now. But she passed her in-class exam for the Colorado licensing. So it's been a pleasure to work with her, and just seeing like how positive she is and how much she really cares about life. That was a really powerful piece of life advice for me.
You have talked about her, and I know it was impactful when you talked about her before. That's beautiful. That's amazing. Mostly because she's actually done it.
Yeah. Another one here I'm going to mention is from my friend Ben out in California.
Yes.
You know him?
I do. at least on the podcast.
At least on the podcast. So Ben gave me a few of them here. He gave me 6 of them, but I'm going to only read I might as well read all 6.
Read all 6. Do it.
All right, number 1. Learn how to learn well on all sorts of subjects. Like our colonist fathers and all those before them. 1B, take jobs that aren't about money, but where you learn skills and habits.
Ooh, I
2,
like that.
Cultivate healthy wonder about the complex world all around us. 2B, let this active wonder drive you to more consistent gratitude, which you express to God and others. 3, find the treasures inside other people and draw it out of them. 4, be selective about friends, even family members sometimes. Create boundaries with difficult or negative people. Attempt to drive them to change through exercising their own gifts before and after establishing those boundaries. 5, have a pet you love and care for. And number 6, develop goals and visions of some enterprising venture, business, organization of education, aid, and support, or whatever it is. Refine and keep those goals alive in your mind and seek to accomplish them over time to serve the needs of a better community, culture, and world. I think some of those are really good. I mean, they're all really good, but like some of them like hit closer to home for me than others. I definitely like the whole learn well on all sorts of subjects. I mean, that's part of what like Smart Challenges is all about.
Agreed.
And then we said we're doing a third for me here.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go with Derek Chambers. He's another friend of mine that I know from Primerica and when I was building a business alongside him. One here is decide who you want to be and be willing to do whatever it takes to become that person.
That's great.
Yeah, isn't that? So decide who you want to be and then do whatever it takes to be that person. Always believe in you, even when no one else does. And then be willing to make the difficult decisions because only making the easy ones will create a difficult life. So I thought those were all pretty good from him as well.
That's amazing. All right. Well, much like you, I want to go ahead and mention the next person with a couple of these pieces of advice. And I'll go to my ex, Marissa, and her two that I want to share. And then later in the show, I'll go back to my mom.
All right.
Only because my mom's got so many of that. It's going to be fun. But Marissa's biggest piece was, it's simple, but it's not. Listen. Most people think they are listening while they are simply waiting to talk. So they're just waiting for you to finish, but they're not actually listening. And the second one, if you don't have anything to say in a meeting or a setting or a situation, don't talk. However, if you do have something to say, make it a point. In other words, if you have a voice, you have something that needs to be communicate. Don't just talk if you don't need to talk.
I like those. I really like those a lot because a lot of times in meetings, I won't say anything unless I really have to say something, and that's when I'll talk.
And that's the point.
Yeah, and here's another thing I've learned too that kind of goes. I think that's in line or in step with that is that, and I don't know how the quote really goes or where I read it or heard it from, but they usually say that those who don't speak very often are usually the smarter people in the room because they don't have to express or share their knowledge, whereas those who probably have less knowledge are the ones who are speaking a lot. And I like I said, I don't know exactly how that exact quote goes or whatever, but I think that's kind of like in the same realm there.
Slightly off of what you were just saying, the quote I am very familiar with is those who say the least hear the most.
That is very true. So going along with what you're saying there, my next quote here is from Karen. She's actually a supervisor at the corporation where I work at. However, she was never my supervisor. We were actually working on a project together, and so one of the things she said to me here, and I think this is really great advice, and I wish I would have asked you this advice a long time ago, like when we first met and stuff like that. Because I think it kind of falls in line with what you're saying there is think before you speak, be kind, give people grace. It's hard to take back ill-spoken words. You can say anything to a person, but it is important that you say it constructively because people aren't perfect and they will make mistakes. And I think that's very true because I think a lot of times when someone makes a mistake or it's easy to criticize somebody, but then, or even in the heat of the moment, you might say something that you don't mean. And then after you said it, you can't put it back in the jar. And then that's when it becomes hard to recover from that. So Brian, he's a coworker of mine, says that if you're at a crossroads, take the choice that scares you the most. Don't take the easy route. Doing the hard leads to greater success and makes others impossible doable. Not only for you, but for them later on. So I thought that was pretty powerful as well. And the third one here is from Amy. She's someone I used to work with in the learning and development department here at my current corporation. Is that life is too short to allow toxic people to remain in your life. She said that one served her really well in her life, and I can see how that would be a very positive one as well.
All right. Well, let me jump into a couple of mine before I get to my mom's. Here are a couple others I had from coworkers. And one of them, I think we've all heard this, and it's true. One of them was just be honest. And this is interesting, though, is the way they perceived it is while being honest, it's better to hurt someone's feelings than to hurt your self-respect and their potential future. Another one is on time is late. It's from one of my peers. I don't disagree with that as far as her perspective, but my contradiction is when someone leaves early, it doesn't matter if they're on time or early. They didn't stay till the finish. And then I'm going to save that one for last. I'm going to go to those two, and then we'll go to a couple of yours, and then I'll go to my mom's.
Okay. So to kind of jump on board with the one that you just said, to be honest. So this is from Jim. He says this is one of my cousins. I don't know if it's their fiance, boyfriend, husband, whatever. They're together. I just put Joe's Bow.
Joe's Bow. Hey, come on a Scotch hour. We'll have some fun. Let us know what you like. We'll plan ahead.
So here I put, he said, to be honest, it may cost you friends or even a relationship. But then if it does, was it really a relationship or a friendship?
That's interesting. I like that.
So, and I think that kind of falls in line.
Being honest is tough, dude. Being honest,
really
it is.
And then you got my mom's, which kind of falls in the same area, I guess, with being honest and stuff, is that keep your promises and don't gossip. Simple, but very much to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go with my second mom, which is Brian's mom. So here she said, don't be afraid to say you're sorry. An apology is a sign of strength, not weakness.
I 100% agree with that.
All right?
Just own it. Hey, I was like, how I'll do it is literally, I'm like, hey, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Here's where it's at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is. And you know the thing here too,
you own it. That's strength.
Once you own it, right? No one else can put that against you.
Yeah.
So you take all that power away from them and you put it back into yourself, because if you own it, say, hey, I'm sorry, I screwed up. That was my fault.
100% agree with that.
And then at that point, you've owned it. You've taken it back. You're showing that sign of strength, because now, no matter what they say, you're like, I already said I'm sorry. I already owned it. What else can I do to make it better for you?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that one from her. She had a few more, and I'll jump down to Brian here since he's not here to say anything for himself. But he put in here, I believe in karma.
Me too.
So when you are kind and do nice things, then kindness and positivity will come back to you.
I actually 100% agree with that.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if it's karma or whatever, but I do believe, like, if you're kind and you do positive things, that will, in return, will come back to you. So whether you call it karma or whatever, yeah, I totally agree with Brian on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to do one more? Or do you want
do one more, and then I'll run through a couple.
Okay. This is from Torin. He's one of my team members I currently work with. We started at the same time. So we went through the same boot camp, and we were both hired at the same time. He says here, eternity is now. when else would it be? From your first to your last, you are breathing all the while. So, what is the quality of your breath? Use that question as a guide towards realizing the good life. It's a pretty deep thought here, because he's basically talking about like every breath you take, what kind of quality is that breath, and are you using it to like better your life?
Yeah, it's another way of saying like every step you take,
Yeah,
has an impact.
and that's at least that's why I interpreted it.
Yeah, that's good. All right, I'll jump into a couple more here.
Okay.
Here's one from my mom, but also for my grandpa. Don't start a fight you can't finish. Don't leave an enemy that might come back after you or your family.
I love that quote. You told me that quote a long time ago.
So fucking true.
Yeah, that is such sage advice right there. If you're gonna start something, make sure you finish it.
Exactly.
And finish it to the point where they're never gonna come back.
Exactly. Like, don't leave. Don't get rear-ended.
Just obliterate the person so like they'll never want to come.
Right. And this is an interesting one, and Noah and I talked about this while we were at dinner, and that is almost isn't good enough. And the point here being is it's not necessarily you're to yourself or someone else telling this to you. However, it was my mom educating me based on something her dad had told her. And at the end of the day, if you yourself are saying, man, I almost did it. So what does that mean? If you're a Formula One racer, your whole goal was to win the championship. I almost won the championship. Almost wasn't good enough. What are you doing? Well, I almost made it to work on time. So now I'm going to get fired. Almost is a big goddamn deal then, right? It's just this whole piece of like, I almost felt great. And this is the simple version is all you had to do was take one extra step or run one extra mile or work out one extra time this month. And I would have felt great. Why almost isn't good enough is the accountability piece is because you're holding yourself accountable. What could you, should you do to make almost not the option, to make it, I was good enough. And that's why I love that one.
That one's phenomenal. I like that when you told me that one tonight at dinner.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go through a couple more coworkers. I can pretty much hit everybody here. I'm going to say all of what they put here, just a couple of them. Charlotte, she's one of my old bosses. And she put count on yourself, which translate into investing in yourself, taking care of yourself, and not allowing others to limit you. I think that the way she phrased that is great because like really the most important thing you can ever do is invest in yourself. Because if you invest in yourself, that means you're educating yourself, you're growing, you're getting better, and no one can take that away from you. People can take away your money, people could take away your things, but if you invest in yourself to get better, they won't be able to take away that from your mind. And so I thought that was pretty impressive there from her. Keisha, I told you this one. I'm not sure if she's being serious or not here, but she put no is not a complete sentence. And I think there's a lot of reality to that too. I mean, there's like, someone says, if you say no, like no to what? Like why not no? I think you need to expound upon the no. But I think her more serious one here was do what makes sense to you. It doesn't have to be what has already been done. Which I think is very true. Like, if it makes sense to you and no one's done it before, you be the path maker and you make it, you get it done. So I thought that was pretty awesome. All right, so I have to talk about my supervisor because I mentioned her earlier.
Oh yeah, do it.
She put here, feedback is simply input. Choose what resonates with you and let the rest go. Never waste a crisis. When things go wrong, see it as a chance to make adjustments, embrace the difficulties as opportunities for growth, some of the toughest challenges have led to the most significant personal growth.
I agree with that. I've had to do that myself where my boss is giving me feedback and I took it so personal that it took me days to get over. And at the end, I was like, Jesse, let this shit go. Your boss is trying to help you.
Yeah.
Free yourself and move on.
I think this is another good one here, especially if you ever mentored somebody or if you ever been a supervisor or a boss. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Do not invest time in individuals whose actions don't align with your well-being.
I agree with don't invest in those actions that don't align with your well-being. My struggle is the other piece and whether or not you can adjust there, because if there's a lazy POS, point of sale, if they're just a lazy POS, then you can't change it. But if they have no passion for what they're currently doing, but you can bring passion, that's the one variance there. I love it though. It's right.
It is. I'm not sure how much more you got, but I still got a few more. So do you mind if I do a couple more?
Go for a few more, man.
All right. Sarah, another person who I work with and on my current team is in a world of evil and darkness around every corner, be a light. If you can provide a glimmer of hope to someone, you are making a world of difference in that person's life. My life's purpose is to show God's love in my actions and in my words. So I thought that was a pretty good one there as well from her. And then Chris, he's kind of like the regional director for all the Primerica pre-licensing instructors.
Nice.
So his was stay above the minutia.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so do I.
Don't get embedded in the stuff that doesn't matter.
Exactly. And then another one of the Primerica pre-licensing trainers, his is it's not one size fits all. Be yourself and don't follow trends. So I thought that was pretty decent as well. I liked it a lot. And then the last one I'm going to do on this set here is going to be from my cousin Cherie.
Oh, nice.
Live like you have only one breath left. Live like your partner is about to die. And work like you're about to lose your job. What is life without purpose?
I struggle with the first three, but I agree with what is life without purpose.
like it's kind of like and she even mentioned it in her text to me. She's like, it's a little bit of a negative take on it, but I think if you kind of like look at it, like if you live life like it's your last breath,
and that's the point is if you're living like,
then you're gonna put the best. You're gonna put as much passion into life as you possibly can because you don't know it's your last breath. And if you love your partner like they're about to die, then they'll know like you're going to be caring for them as much as you possibly can. And you're not going to worry about the little things, I think, there. And once again, these are just my interpretations from what she said to me. The only part she said is like, she was like, I know this is kind of a negative take. And then work like you're about to lose your job. This one I have a hard time about because like if you're about to lose your job, then you're going to probably lose your job.
But you want to keep it.
Yeah. So here, I think...
I agree with what you're saying.
Here, I think what you should do is...
go find another fucking job.
Instead of like work like you're about to lose your job, do the amount of work for the job that you want to have, and then that will follow up to you to get to where you want to go. Basically, like if you're an employee but you want to be a supervisor, work like you're the supervisor, and you will become the supervisor.
I agree with what you just said, but I also was honest. Like I struggle with how that started. I think Cherie was being honest in her own perspective, and I love that.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, how many more do you have so we can like calculate back and forth?
I have two more, and then I have my own.
Okay, shit. So I've got more than you. So let me run through a couple. We got sideways.
I mean, technically, I have like a lot more.
10 more?
I have like 3 plus me, but if I needed to, I could pull more because like people give multiples.
No, you're
we'll just
good.
have 4 total left.
4 total left. Okay, so as I'm going through, let me double check. This was up here. We've all heard this in one form, shape, or another. Don't live in regret. So, in other words, don't bury yourself. Don't bury yourself in the shit you failed on. Move forward. And I actually do agree with that.
I struggle with that one sometimes, as you know.
I know. My dad, he did have one other one, and his was, I wish I would have quit drinking and smoking earlier in life. And I think that's interesting because his whole thing is based on money at this time, not even his health. Here was one for me, and I'll throw this out now because you're going to go through yours, but mine's very simple, but it falls 100% in line with something we shared at dinner. And to me, always for the last 20 years plus, time is our most precious gift. The other one that Marissa shared with me is trust but verify, an old Reagan quote. My mom had a bunch and she had more and she will have more. She's got a book ready for me by the time this show's aired, most likely, but we'll go from there. And her emphasis here, and I want to thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. But thank you, Mom. My mom's emphasis here was her dad shared so many great things with her that she hasn't forgotten until she was put on the spot. And we've all been there. But she gave me a handful. I'm going to run through them as quickly as possible here. Number 1, remember, if you are going to do something, do it right. Don't half-ass. Another one being, and this is a quote from literature, this too shall pass. So when shit gets hard, get over it.
I got that one too from someone.
Did you? Honesty is the best policy.
Sometimes I don't know about that one.
Whatever you do it with a good heart. I think this is important.
That one's great.
Yeah. Don't do it begrudgingly. So whatever you do with a good heart, not begrudgingly. And I think she raised me that way. And that's why I at work, I live in a sense where people are always like, how are you always so positive? And I'm like, that's my quote. Like my mom taught me, if you're going to do something, don't do it in the negative, do it in the positive. Here's a quick tangent to my boss. Marissa's was trust but verify. My boss's Alma is trust but validate. Going back to my mom, many a truth is said in jest. So understand when someone's joking with you, they're not fucking joking. It's that simple. When they're trying to like share something with you and they're knocking your door a little bit, but they're also laughing, realize they're probably not jesting. He who expects nothing. This is something so goddamn great. This is probably the most impactful in my current life. He who expects nothing shall not be disappointed.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Oh, my God. Like, if you're doing your own business and you're not expecting anyone else to give you gifts, Christmas is literally right around the corner, then you're not going to be sad. I love that. Yeah. Sometimes with people, east is east and west is west, and never the truth or train shall meet. So in other words, you're going to find out in life, you're going to meet people who will never agree with you. Get over it. Another truth. It is not he who, It is not he who has little that is poor. This is actually, of all of the ones that we're sharing right now, this is the second. I'll share my other most impactful last. But it is not he who has little who is poor, but he who wants more. And I think that can be perceived in so many different ways. That it can be overcome. The other one for my boss, Alma, slow down and speed up. That's also another truth. One that I like to joke about. This is when the mentor becomes the manatee. Well, really, it's the mentee. Any mentor that is great also learns they can learn from their mentee. I'm going to save my last one for last. Actually, one more before that. This was from an old friend. Not an old friend. A great friend. Don't dismiss another one's feelings. So in other words, when you make someone feel like their feelings, not just their actions, but their feelings were dismissed, didn't matter, that is shitty. And I agree with that. She shared that with me a long time ago. I don't think, yeah. We'll go from there. I'll let you wrap yours up and then I'll share my last one, then we'll be done.
All right, so my friend Holly, she's the friend out in Arizona that I visited and hung out with.
Had some delicious food with.
Yeah, we went to that olive place, which was great, and the empanada place. That was
Empanada place. That's my point.
She said, "Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Take action, even when it isn't what you envisioned." So I thought that was pretty decent there. Camille, you can always make a comeback. And she's another trainer that I worked with. So you can always make a comeback, which I think is true. Like, no matter like where you're at in life, you can always pick yourself up and make a comeback in something new if you wanted to. Jeanette, she is a Primerica pre-licensing trainer that I had to like help train this past weekend. And she states here, stay firm in your faith. Joshua 1:6, God has told us what his promises are. We just too often feel like it's not what we want and it's not fast enough. So we play God and forget to be obedient and do our part to receive our blessings.
I like that.
Yeah.
Complicated, but
yeah,
it's like scripture.
It is like scripture. And I'm going to finish. I know I have a couple more from some other people, but
no, finish them all. I've only got like one quick line. Like, do
you
whatever.
Want me like I got like 2 or 3 more from everybody, so I'm just
do it. Like, give them their credit if you need to. Dude, our time's okay. We're running a little long. It doesn't matter.
All right, Brian Jarowski, one of the coworkers. I'll go back to him. Turn off the social media. Meet people in person. Read more books than web pages.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a very important one. Karen, be bold and take educated chances with your career. Don't sit on the sidelines, afraid to move to a new opportunity or a different direction.
Nice.
Sarah, to love is to give, whether it is to give your time to others or by way of donation. We show love by giving. I have always been taught to be generous. Nothing in this world is truly ours, and we can't take with us when we pass on. So why not help others even when we feel like we have nothing to give?
I like that.
And then, let's see, Brian's mom, Kathy.
Yes.
Try to be kind to everyone you encounter, as you never know what is going on in someone else's life. We have many acquaintances, but as for true friends, very few. So cherish the ones that you have. And then another one from her is be there for family. You need to help each other out. If we all did this, everyone's life would be so much easier.
True.
And then Brian, he had 2 more.
Oh, I love Brian.
Always
sexually.
always be there for friends and family. And then choose to be kind. You never know how your kindness can have a positive impact on someone else's day, and they'll pay that kindness forward. Did I get everybody else there?
That's what you currently have. There may be others, but that's what you currently have.
Yeah. No, I'm just making sure I got everything on the list. Yeah, I think I got everything on the list except for mine, so I'll finish it out with mine here.
All right, so that's perfect. So on mine,
no.
I was talking about
Do you want me to do mine first, and then you can finish?
I'm going to do one, then you do yours, then I'll finish.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so my other one, and I mentioned this very briefly, and I failed to mention the name. Don't dismiss others' feelings. That was from Beverly.
Oh, okay.
Now it's yours.
Oh, all right, cool. I was wondering if it was Beverly or Sterling.
Sterling didn't respond, but
Okay.
he's also just started a new job, and
Well,
he
good luck to him.
probably has a page, because I imagine to him it was so impactful that I asked him that he was overwhelmed,
Oh, okay.
because he always looked at me the guy to give advice, not the one to ever take it.
Well, good luck to him in his new adventure, and hopefully,
Yeah, nah. I actually think he's going to do well.
All right, so the one that I usually have in my back pocket when people ask me for advice, and this is something that's been very impactful for me, because it took me like reading like multiple books and hearing from a couple of different like speakers, and then actually like putting it all together myself. And so this is what it's about: time. So time is the most important asset that anyone owns. They cannot be given or buy more time. Once it's been spent, it's gone forever. So when someone chooses to spend time with you, they're giving you a part of their life that they may never get back. So once you understand that they're giving you part of their life, you will realize the importance of time. And this is why I always try to thank people after they spend time with me, and always try to be early when meeting others, because when you are late or if you ghost someone, you are telling them that their life doesn't matter to you. And so that's one of the ones that I will share with others, because I used to be really bad about being on time, and I didn't necessarily like ghost people, but there would be times where I'm like, yeah, I'll show up to that, but then I call up like 5 minutes or 10 minutes late into the theme, like, yeah, I'm not showing up. And I just never really understood that piece of time where it's like it's an asset of a person's life that they're sharing with you, and you're basically like squandering that gift. And so it took a little while for me to learn that lesson, and now that I have learned that lesson, it's one that I have no problem sharing with others if they want to hear it.
Yeah.
So
That's it for you?
That's it for me.
All right, my last one.
Okay.
And I saved this for
Let's
last.
say down a bang.
Because most of these I've heard throughout my whole life, one way or shape or form or another. I don't imagine you, even though some of these are like profound in the sense of, yeah, revisiting them is great. You're still revisiting them, right?
Right.
Okay, here's my great finish. And it's ultimately also a shout out.
Okay.
And this goes to Noah.
What?
It goes to you, Noah.
Shut up. Get out of here. No.
I'm not even fucking kidding. And it is one piece that has helped me. We talked about this just last week, and this show sounds like it's going to be out in a week. And so the previous week may take a little bit longer to get out. But regardless, one piece of advice based on a show my kids ultimately have me watching, ironically, in a weird twist, Mila, then Aiden, etc., then Noah, because they all fucking finished it before me or didn't finish it at all, but Noah did. And it is Unleash Your Inner Harvey.
Unleash Your Inner Harvey. Yeah, yes.
There are quotes that don't need to mean anything to anyone else that can be altruistic. In other words, this is something that Noah shared with me, and I fucking got it from the heartbeat, and he helped me recently understand this in some situations in my own personal life, and it fucking stuck, and it meant that much. And this is my shout out to you, Noah. Thank you for that piece of advice. None of the rest of you need to understand that. You can ask me personally if you want to. But at the end of the day, it meant the world. It made a difference. And I love you for it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Definitely unleash your inner Harvey, man. You had to do it that day too. Sorry.
Those days, that day in particular, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I sincerely mean that.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I sincerely meant it when I sent it to you too.
I know you did. And that's why it's so impactful, is because sometimes it's like my mom's advice. She was so impactful in every piece. She's trying to make such a big deal. She's like, I'm going to have to write you a book and give it to you.
Yeah, and the thing is, like with that, like it's great because you made that, you said that quote right there, or that, but it's based off of a show that we watched, and it really, if you don't know that show and you don't know anything behind it, that advice,
it means nothing.
That advice really means nothing to anybody else except for you.
It's something that is between us, and it means the world to me, and because I went in walking like that, and I didn't want to have to be that. And I was far easier, like, compassed by the situation, but I was ready because of your comment. I love you for it.
Well, thank you. That's great. That's awesome. I'm sorry. You just you kind of made me speechless right there. So
I can never, in any other way, express my gratitude. No amount of money or anything else tells you how much that support meant to me.
That's awesome. All right. I guess next week, we're done, right?
Yes.
Okay. So next week's topic, or smarter challenge, I should say, is do something you would not normally do. For instance, go a few days without your cell phone, or ride your bike to work, or no posting or using social media, whatever it is. So something that you know that you like, something that you normally would do, don't do that and do something different. I think it's more of a, if you will, it's more of like a throwback to what it was before some technology came out. And just trying to get back to nature, get back to a little bit of some old ways or whatever it is. So for somebody like me, it'll probably be no social media.
I don't know that I can go a couple of days without text because of my job, so mine might be similar.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was about to say I was going to go without my cell phone, but then I remembered I'm in the middle of a week where I'm doing pre-licensing class, so I'm gonna have like students texting me throughout the week. So
you're like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
And they're all gonna be like, you said to text you that you get back to us within a certain time frame. I'm like, yeah, I just made the decision not to use my cell phone this week. That'd be pretty bad on my part. So it may have to be something like not using social media for me, or something else. Reading a book, which I don't really like. Reading a physical book, I should say. It's been a while since I actually read a physical book. A lot of the books I've been reading have been either on the iPad or digital format or something like that. So maybe actually picking up an actual real life physical book and reading it, which actually would kill two birds with one stone. I'm not using any digital format, and I'm not watching TV. So, and I'm exercising my brain. So like that's triple right there. So, I know you read still quite often, so, but whatever your choice is.
I'm still in the middle of Dracula another time, but I love rereading books because every time I read them, I'm like, God damn. So 5 years ago, this book meant so much less or more.
But I figured that'd be something kind of fun to do, and trying to, maybe go back a little bit ways. As far as the Scotch, I haven't picked that out yet.
Next week's Scotch is the Glenfiddich 21.
Okay, I guess we're doing the Glenfiddich 21, Grand Reserva.
Grand Reservist. So next week's Scotch is already decided. I love the topic. I haven't figured out what I'm not going to do for a while.
Just for a couple days. It could be 1 day, 2 days. Just something that kind of like breaks the monotony of what you normally would do.
Not drink a beer for 3 days.
Guess you can do that.
God damn, I'll figure it out. We'll get there, but we'll make a difference. But other than that, as we wrap up this long show, we do love you guys as our viewers. Remember, life is great. That doesn't always mean it's going to be easy.
So thank you to all the people who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you to all the listeners on the many different podcast platforms. We appreciate you as well. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments down below. And Jesse will close us out.
All right. Remember, again, one last time, do not drink and drive. Please drink responsibly. And until this next episode, Scotchman! Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.